All right, let's jump right in. We're about to go on a pretty wild journey, not across the world, but deep inside the human mind. We're going to try and solve a mystery about something you probably take for granted, picturing things in your head.
It's a weird question, right? I mean, if I say, hey, picture an elephant, what happens? Do you see a big gray animal with floppy ears, or is it more of a concept, a list of facts, you know? Big, gray, trunk. What if I told you that for a whole bunch of people, that mind's eye sees absolutely nothing at all?
So how on earth do you even begin to study that? For the longest time, the mind's eye was this puzzle you couldn't touch, trapped inside our own private consciousness. But a team of scientists decided to play detective, to find a way to peek inside someone else's imagination.
Yeah, we use this phrase constantly. Picture this, or I can see it now. It's so baked into our language, we just assume we're all talking about the same thing. We think everyone has a little movie projector running in their skull.
Okay, this is where the story gets really interesting. It turns out that when some people try to picture that elephant or their own front door or a beautiful sunset, there's just nothing. No picture. Just a black void, conceptually speaking. They know what a sunset is, but they can't see one in their head.
Well, this phenomenon, it turns out, actually has a name. And that name is aphantasia. It's the technical term for not being able to voluntarily cook up mental images. And just giving it a name has kicked off this whole new way of looking at how our minds are wired.
So let's be super clear. This has nothing to do with memory. Someone with aphantasia knows what their best friend looks like. They can describe their face in perfect detail. They just can't summon an actual picture of that face in their mind. That internal movie screen? For them, it's blank.
This slide really breaks it down, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the visualizer, whose mind is like this high-def internal IMAX theater. And on the other, you have the aphantasic mind, which operates more like a novel. It's full of rich descriptions, concepts, and facts, but no illustrations. It's two completely different operating systems for experiencing the same world.
And this brings us right back to the huge roadblock for those scientists. It's one thing for someone to say they can't see anything in their head, but how do you prove it? How do you get cold, hard, physical evidence for something that's totally subjective? That was the million-dollar question.
So how did they crack it? Well, the solution was just genius. The researchers figured they needed to find a physical reaction, something the brain couldn't fake, and they found their clue in a tiny involuntary muscle, in the eye itself.
The pupillary light reflex. Oh, you know this one. You walk out of a dark room into the bright sunshine and your eyes immediately squint. That's your pupils shrinking down to protect themselves from all that light. It's a reflex. It's totally automatic. You can't control it.
The thinking behind the experiment was so elegant and simple. Okay, step one, we know for a fact that a real light makes your pupils shrink. No question. So step two, the big question became, is the act of just imagining a bright light, is that powerful enough to trigger the exact same physical reflex?
And that question led them to create what they called the imaginary sun test. This was it. This was the experiment designed to finally drag this invisible internal world out into the open for everyone to see.
So picture this. The researchers got a group of people who could visualize things really vividly and a group of people with aphantasia. They sat them all in a dark room, pointed a camera at their eyes to measure their pupils, and then gave them a simple command. Imagine a bright, shining sun and stare right at it.
And the results? Whoa. They were night and day. For the visualizers, something incredible happened. As they just imagined that bright sun, their pupils physically got smaller, just like they would in real sunlight. But for the group with aphantasia, nothing. Absolutely no change. Their pupils stayed wide open.
This was it. This was the smoking gun they had been looking for. The fact that the aphantastic group had no physical reaction was concrete proof that their brain wasn't generating a visual signal that it interpreted as light. They really weren't seeing anything.
So what's the big deal? Why does this matter? Well, this wasn't just about proving one condition existed. This experiment blew open a brand new window into just how differently our brains can build the reality we experience.
So let's quickly recap what we learned. First, aphantasia is real. It's a verifiable neurological thing. Second, this test gives us the first ever physical proof that it exists. Third, it shows that our inner worlds can be just fundamentally different from one person to the next. And maybe the wildest part, it proves that imagination can be powerful enough to cause real physical changes in our bodies.
Now, it's so important to understand this. This is not a flaw or a disability. People with aphantasia are just as creative, just as smart, just as successful.
Their creativity just works differently. They might not paint a landscape from memory, but they might write an incredibly complex novel, or compose beautiful music, or solve abstract math problems. It's just a different way of processing the world, another amazing variation of the human mind.
And that kind of leaves us with this big final thought to chew on. We walk around every day just assuming that the way we think, the way we remember, the way we imagine is how everyone else does it. This discovery proves that's not true at all, and it makes you wonder, if we can be this different on such a basic level, what other invisible worlds are living inside the minds of the people all around us?